We all have games that we love. Games that change our life, or games that we just love to play. Or maybe just a game we go to every now and again. But do you ever drop that game for a while, only to come back and find out that it's been abandoned? A game that was once full of life and players, now desolate and ruined. You may wander amongst the empty structures, remembering the good times you had there, the people you met, the fun you had, and feel a pang of sadness knowing that it's all gone and will likely never return. Maybe you'll invite some friends over, check out the game, and reminisce. But soon, with no one else there and nothing left to do, you'll leave, and the game will once again go quiet and become empty. This is a grim fate that has befallen many, many games. And while the current Kingdom Lives have not yet succumbed to this, there are many versions in the past that have. Versions of the game that were once active, full of stories, full of life, full of joy. And then, they were all gone. History swept them under the rug, to be forgotten about. Time ground them to dust, and they were left as an empty shell, with no one to play in them, and their only hope being that a stray player will come back to reminisce and laugh and feel joy at when this game was once vibrant and full of happiness. These games have no one to care for them, no one to play them, no one to find joy in them for so long. But not anymore, because today, I'm going to explore those games and uncover the mystery of what they were like and the story of how they rose and fell. We'll begin with the man and the games that started it all. The original Kingdom Life was uploaded by BootBot on 2008. This game appeared to be a passion project of his, as the entire game was completely free and cost no money whatsoever. He also stated in his bio that he loved 3D modeling, and this game could have just been a way for him to express his love for that. The game was also a mild success, raking in 1 million visits. However, it eventually died off when Kingdom Life 2 came out and people moved on. And as Kingdom Life 2 reached new heights, the original became almost completely forgotten. Now that all the history has been covered, we can finally look at the game that started it all. The game starts when we spawn next to a small cylindrical tower. I don't know what it does, but I'm intrigued by the small blue buttons around it. So, naturally, I go up to them. My character changes to that of a wizard, which leads me to believe the small cylinder structure in the background could have been the original Wizard Tower, a far cry from what it would one day become. I also gained a new item called the Freeze Spell, and after messing around with that for a bit, I decide to head to the town. The town was pretty basic, containing a few structures, but all without many things inside, and the things that were inside had little to no detail. So I continue out, and I found something that can't be found in any of the Kingdom Life games. NPCs. While they weren't currently working, it seemed like you used to be able to talk and examine with them, and they had items for sale in their stands. Whether or not I could actually buy these items was still up for question. But when I examined my inventory later, I saw buy and sell buttons, indicating that this game might have had an economy system, which was for some reason scrapped in Kingdom Life 2. This is further supported by the fact that your side inventory contains 100 of some kind of gold, which could have been this game's money. However, I couldn't find any more evidence. I continued on my way. While exploring this game's farm, I found another character button, but it wouldn't be able to change me. And and I decided that I would have to reset if I wanted to see what this did. However, my plans quickly changed when I caught sight of this game's version of the forest, which I thought might contain some interesting stuff. So, I went through the gate, which was automatic, and explored this sparse wood. And other than the shadows acting strangely, I didn't find anything weird at all. I then came across a strange statue, and decided to see what it would do. When I clicked on it, I became an elf. And I found out that this game has weapons. And with surprisingly clean animations, I was able to fire my bow, although the aiming was not very accurate to where I tapped. After messing around with that for a bit, I decided it was time to head back to the castle. This Kingdom Life's castle was almost completely different, with a confusing layout, and with all the walls and pillars being the same color, made it very hard to tell where some things were. However, I continued on, and I found a few key areas. The first being this bedroom, which had a candle in it and a small bed that looked almost identical to the one in modern Kingdom Life. I then went through a hallway behind the throne room to find the dining area. And after giving a quick glance, I quickly moved on to see what else this castle was hiding. I then trudged my way up the stairs and found what might be the strangest room in the game. An empty area with nothing but a single wooden slab. I had no idea why the developer would go out of his way to make this room, but I decided to move on and see what else this castle held. I couldn't find anything else of interest in the castle, and I decided that I had done all I wanted to, and it was time to end my playthrough of the original Kingdom Life. And with that, I think it's time to move on to the original Kingdom Life 2. The original Kingdom Life 2 came out just 7 months after Kingdom Life 1, and updates stopped in 2012. This game was also a massive hit compared to Kingdom Life 1, ranking in at least 18 times the visits, making this BootBot's most successful game. The reason this game died out is unclear, at least to me. It could be due to Roblox updates breaking the game, or it could be due to DevBucket's game also releasing the same year the updates stopped, and people just moved on to that. Now, let's see what this game might have been like for someone playing it all the way back in 2012. This game, unlike the first, gives you a small area to spawn in and a list of characters to select from. After fiddling around for a bit, I eventually decided to select the Dwarf King. I then spawned in and found that you can actually do PvP and roleplay in this game. However, I found that it was not possible to even use your weapon. I searched around the Dwarf Cave for a bit, and it looked almost identical to the current version. And I decided I might as well just leave and see what the rest of the game looks like. I opened the doors, and I saw a game. It looked like the current Kingdom Life, only less, which is going to be a running theme as we explore this area. I don't know if it was due to updates messing up some structures, but there's a lot of stuff missing from this game. Anyways, I went for the secret passage in the castle, which was, thankfully, still a thing. I made it through and found an almost identical castle courtyard. However, I found something interesting. Another room with nothing but a small slab inside it. After examining the slab, I went back down and decided to explore the castle. I walked into the throne room, which was, again, almost identical to the current game, and after seeing the throne, I went upstairs. And here's where the differences began to appear. There were massive rooms that were completely empty, and only one of the beds was present, and you couldn't even sit down in it. Whether this was due to the Roblox updates, or if the game was always like this, is unknown. But I'm going to guess that Roblox updates caused these rooms to become empty, and all the items inside of them to just, I guess, not be able to work. And this goes for the downstairs too, being almost completely barren, with no structures. Just massive, empty rooms. I then made my way to the dungeon, which was also identical to the current game. And I decided that it wasn't worth it, and I just left. The town suffered the same fate as the castle. Where there was once furniture and items inside to interact with is now nothing, and these homes become empty boxes. There's not much to say about this town, other than that it's a shell of what it used to be. And after looking around a bit, I'd also decided to move on from this place. I then trudged my way to the forest, and I decided I was going to test if the elf portal worked, or if that too had been broken by the updates. So I reset and became an elf. I jumped down, found the portal, and went in. And thankfully, it worked, if a little jittery. I then tried my bow, which also surprisingly worked. However, it made no sound, and it was hard to tell when I was actually firing. Then, I made my way to the last point of interest in the game, the tower. The tower was also almost completely identical to the current game, with one small difference. You can no longer make potions in this version. If this was always the case, or due to the updates breaking it, is unclear, but I'm going to say it was because of the updates. Anyways, I'm not going to show you the rest of this tower because it's identical to the current game. And after a small hike, I made it to the cemetery. I was also anxious to see if the portal to the cemetery area existed or even worked. And it did. However, there's not anything to say about this area because, yet again, it's identical to the current game. And then, satisfied with everything I had seen, I decided to end my playthrough the same way I had last time. And with that, ends my experience with the original Kingdom Life 2. And here we are, the last and, in my opinion, most interesting game out of all of them. A game that is so similar to the original, and yet so different. In a game with a history unlike any other. While this story is interesting, almost all the information I have about it came from the Roblox wiki, so take this with a grain of salt. Now, let me tell you the history of Kingdom Life 3. According to the wiki, Kingdom Life 3 was created by a man named Alex Steinberg II, who had somehow received a copy of the original Kingdom Life by BootBot. He made a few modifications to the game, and after that, he posted it online. However, the game wasn't getting the traction he hoped, and in his desperation, he started using hundreds of alternate accounts, each joined the game, just so he could get a few more visits. However, players eventually noted this and reported him, causing Roblox to ban him permanently. But, eerily enough, Kingdom Life 3 kept getting updates, even though Alex was still banned. And while it's unclear how this is possible, as it doesn't seem anyone was working with Alex, this does mean that there's someone out there who is still updating this game, even though it has been inactive with 0 players for several years. And while we may never know who's doing this or why, it is comforting to think that even though this game has been abandoned and unplayed for years, there's still someone that cares enough about it to give it continuous updates. And now, it's time to dive in to the mess and the beauty of Kingdom Life 3. The game starts you off in a massive platform in the sky filled with rocks. But the first difference I noticed, other than that, was the amount of characters. There was far more, and there were far more experimental characters, such as the Demonic Knight and Beast. But I ignored those, and decided to just pick a character and play the game. The next major difference was that you can decide where you spawn, instead of your character determining where you spawn. After looking through the options, I eventually decided to go with Heaven, because it looked interesting. I found myself in a small platform in the sky, and I decided to try out a few items that were in my inventory. I used to become human, and it turned me into a strange, statue-like thing. I quickly turned out of that, and after testing out a few other things, like the mage light, which shoots a ball of light out of you, I decided to check out the ground below. I was met with a familiar Kingdom Life layout. A town in the center, a castle at the back, a mountain right next to it. You get the gist. First, I decided to head to the castle, as that was the thing that looked the most changed, being completely unrecognizable from what it once was. And the first thought that hit my mind was that this was a free model the developers used. I can't really explain it, it's just the vibe I got from the textures, the way everything was built, and how confusing it was to get around this place. I stumbled through the castle, but I eventually made my way to the throne room. The throne room had been changed to that of a Viking style, with a massive table for the main family in the front. I was interested by this, and I decided to look around a bit more. However, I didn't find much, except a flight of stairs leading to the top. I then decided it was time to move on from the castle and go somewhere else. Before I left though, something catched my eye. This small execution platform with a noose. I thought it was interesting the developer put this in here because it was a neat little thing that left some potential for stories. However, that was the last thing I saw before I turned my back on that place and never returned. I then made my way towards the town, which had a small marketplace area. The stands were highly detailed, at least compared to the ones in the current Kingdom Life. And after taking a quick look at them, I decided to explore the town. The town's houses didn't give as much as a free model vibe as the castle had, but there was still a faint bit of it there. However, I'm not going to say they were definitely free models, and maybe the developer made this himself. However, something that does make me question this is the fact that the entrance to this house is very small and does not match the height of the characters. Nevertheless, I explored the bar, gave it a quick look, and once again, moved on. I also made my way towards the tower because I wanted to see if the potion system would work in this game. So, I made my way up and tried using it. However, when I put on my alchemy, it would only select the items, and I couldn't make any potions. It was broken the exact same way that Kingdom Life 2's was, which might lend some credence to the theory that this is a copied version of Kingdom Life 2, as both of their potion systems are broken in the exact same way. After that, I explored the rest of the tower and found nothing of interest. I then headed to the original castle from Kingdom Life 2, looking completely identical except for it being colored black instead of gray. I looked around the courtyard and saw that it was completely barren. Whether this was intentional or due to Roblox updates, I'm unsure. And then I made my way into the castle, which was completely dark. After stumbling around this area and finding nothing on the first floor, I made my way upstairs. The upstairs is also equally barren, with completely empty rooms containing nothing. However, I was surprised when I found a room with a strange red glowing portal. I was surprised to see the developer to put in an animation for the portal, as I thought that they would just do the standard thing and place a circle there. However, after looking at it for a little bit, I jumped in and was met with the tower, and no way to get back to the dark castle other than to walk. Satisfied with exploration, I decided to see who was behind this game, and clicked on the developer tab, and found it was someone named BlakeOYoko1212. And I was amazed to see that they were continuing this game, even after everyone had left, and the original creator had been banned. And, after finally getting the answers I needed, I decided it was time to leave and say goodbye to Kingdom Life 3. After I finished that segment, I decided to look up BlakeOYoko's username, and it turns out he doesn't exist anymore. And it's unlikely we'll ever find out what happened to him. If he was banned, if he just quit, or what his relation to Kingdom Life 3 was at all. However, there's not anything left to do, so I guess it's just the end of the video.